There will always be noise. People will challenge you, criticize you, and attempt to provoke a reaction. They will waste their breath on opinions they hope will stir your emotions, on words meant to shake your confidence, on negativity designed to pull you into their chaos. Self-control is one of the greatest indicators of strength, yet it is also one of the most underestimated. We live in a world that rewards immediate reactions where responding quickly, loudly, and with force is often mistaken for power. But true power is not found in how quickly you retaliate or how loudly you speak. It is found in your ability to remain composed when everything around you is pushing you to react. When someone criticizes you, insults you, or tries to provoke you, your first instinct may be to respond, to defend yourself, to argue, to prove a point. That instinct is natural. It's human. But what separates the strong from the weak, the wise from the impulsive, is the ability to pause, to recognize that not every word spoken about you requires your input. Reacting to negativity only fuels it. The more energy you give to someone trying to bring you down, the more power they have over you. Silence, on the other hand, is disarming. It removes the fuel from the fire. It is not a sign of defeat, nor is it an admission of guilt. It is a demonstration of control. By choosing not to react, you are saying, I will not be controlled by the words of others. That is where your power lies. Imagine two people in a heated argument. One is shouting, raising their voice, losing their temper. The other stands calm, composed, and unmoved. Who looks stronger? Who commands more respect? The one who remains in control of their emotions. That person has mastered themselves, and in doing so they control the situation. History has proven this time and again. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and philosophers understood that power is not in the reaction but in the restraint. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers and a Roman emperor, constantly reminded himself that other people's opinions, insults, and actions are outside of his control. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That is a lesson in self-mastery. To practice self-control is to train yourself to recognize that not every battle is worth fighting. Some people seek to provoke for the sake of provoking. Some argue not to reach an understanding, but to pull you into their own chaos. And the moment you engage, you have already lost, because now they are controlling your emotions. But what happens when you choose silence? The person trying to provoke you expects a reaction. They expect you to defend yourself, to become emotional, to play their game. When you don't, it unsettles them. It forces them to sit with their own words. It removes the satisfaction they were seeking. It leaves them powerless. In today's world, where people often mistake noise for influence, it is easy to believe that speaking the loudest wins. But silence can be far more powerful than words. It is a statement in itself. When you refuse to engage in negativity, when you remain calm in the face of provocation, you demonstrate that you are in control. And that control, that quiet confidence, is what commands real respect. This is not about passivity or avoiding difficult conversations. It is about choosing when to speak and when to let silence do the talking. There is strength in knowing that you do not need to respond to everything. There is wisdom in recognizing that your energy is too valuable to be wasted on those who seek to bring you down. I think about the people you admire most. Are they the ones who constantly argue, who react to every criticism, who feel the need to prove themselves at every turn? Or are they the ones who carry themselves with quiet confidence, who speak when necessary but never waste their breath on things that do not deserve their attention? Self-control is not just about external interactions. It is also about mastering the internal dialogue within yourself. When you are faced with criticism or negativity, your mind will want to respond, to justify, to defend. That urge is strong. But what if, instead of reacting, you paused? What if you allowed yourself the space to process before deciding whether a response was even necessary? That pause, that moment of restraint, is where your strength is built. People will always have opinions. Some will misunderstand you. Some will judge you unfairly. Some will project their own insecurities onto you. That is inevitable. What is not inevitable is your reaction. That is within your control. You get to decide whether their words hold power over you. You get to decide whether you engage or whether you let them waste their breath. Silence does not mean weakness. It does not mean you are indifferent. It means you are selective with your energy. It means you have mastered the ability to focus on what truly matters and discard what does not. It means you understand that true power is not in proving yourself to others, but in knowing yourself so well that you do not need their validation. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, the next time someone speaks against you, take a breath. Ask yourself, do their words change who I am? Do they define my character? Do they truly deserve my attention? If the answer is no, then let them waste their breath. Your silence will speak louder than anything you could ever say. Emotional intelligence is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop, yet it is often misunderstood. Many believe intelligence is about knowing facts, solving problems, or being quick-witted. But true intelligence, especially in the context of relationships, leadership, and personal growth, is not just about what you know. It is about how you manage yourself and others in the face of conflict, criticism, and adversity. The ability to remain silent in the face of provocation is not just about self-control. It is about understanding the power of your emotions and how they can either serve you or betray you. Most people react impulsively when challenged. It is a natural human response to defend, to justify, to fight back. But reacting in the heat of the moment is rarely a sign of wisdom. It is a sign of being controlled by emotions rather than controlling them. Emotional intelligence teaches that not every comment deserves a reply, not every insult requires a defense, and not every battle is worth fighting. There is a difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is immediate, emotional, and often regretful. Responding, on the other hand, is intentional, measured, and often far more powerful. And sometimes the best response is no response at all. When someone speaks negatively about you, they are looking for a reaction. They want to see if they can pull you into their negativity. They want to know if they can control your emotions, your time, your energy. The moment you engage, you give them exactly what they want. But if you remain silent, if you choose not to play their game, they are left with nothing but their own words. They are forced to sit with their own negativity without the satisfaction of having dragged you into it. Silence in the face of provocation is not weakness. It is a demonstration of emotional strength. It says, I am not controlled by my emotions. I am not affected by your negativity. I choose where to place my energy. And that choice is what separates those who are emotionally intelligent from those who are emotionally reactive. Consider some of the greatest leaders in history. The most influential figures were not the ones who responded to every insult, who defended themselves at every turn, or who allowed their emotions to dictate their actions. They were the ones who remained composed, who chose their battles wisely, and who understood that their energy was too valuable to be spent on trivial disputes. They knew that silence, when used wisely, is not an absence of strength, but a testament to it. This principle applies in everyday life as well. In relationships, whether personal or professional, emotional intelligence allows you to see beyond the immediate conflict. Instead of reacting to a harsh comment with equal harshness, you step back and ask yourself, what is this person really saying? Is this about me, or is this about them? Do I need to respond, or does my silence speak louder? When you develop this level of awareness, you gain a significant advantage. You no longer fall into traps set by those who thrive on drama. You no longer waste your energy on unnecessary conflicts. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself to people who do not deserve an explanation. Instead, you move with purpose. You control the conversation not by speaking, but by choosing when and if to engage. This is not to say that silence is always the answer. There are times when standing up and speaking out is necessary. But emotional intelligence is about knowing when to do so and when to let words pass without response. It is about recognizing that some battles are won not by fighting, but by refusing to step into the battlefield at all. The world is filled with noise, arguments on social media, debates in the workplace, conflicts in personal relationships. People are quick to speak but slow to think. They want to be heard more than they want to understand. But if you can cultivate the ability to pause, to think before you speak, to recognize when silence is more powerful than words, you set yourself apart. You rise above the noise. In moments of tension, ask yourself, is my response driven by emotion or by wisdom? Will engaging in this conversation add value, or will it simply drain my energy? If you can develop the ability to pause before reacting, you are already ahead of most people. Because in that pause, you take back control. Emotional intelligence is not just a skill. It is a way of moving through the world with intention, wisdom, and strength. It allows you to navigate difficult situations with grace, to handle criticism with composure, and to protect your peace from those who seek to disrupt it. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember this: your silence is not an absence of power. It is a demonstration of it. It is a sign that you are in control, that you are not swayed by petty conflicts, that you are operating at a higher level. Let them waste their breath. Your silence will always be more powerful. Throughout history, the greatest minds have recognized one fundamental truth. We cannot control the actions, words, or opinions of others, only our own responses to them. This understanding is at the core of Stoic philosophy, a school of thought that emphasizes discipline, self-mastery, and the ability to remain unmoved by external forces. To embrace the Stoic advantage is to understand that silence in the face of provocation is not just a tactic, but a profound demonstration of wisdom. It is the ultimate act of control over oneself and a declaration of strength that does not rely on external validation. When someone insults, criticizes, or provokes you, your instinct may be to respond, to defend, or to prove them wrong. But why? What do you truly gain from engaging in unnecessary conflict? The great Stoic philosophers, from Marcus Aurelius to Epictetus, taught that responding to every slight, every insult, or every moment of disrespect is a sign of weakness, not strength. It shows that your peace is fragile, easily disturbed by the opinions of others. But true power lies in indifference to things outside your control. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This is a simple but profound truth. You cannot prevent people from speaking ill of you. You cannot stop others from being unfair, rude, or misguided. But what you can do is refuse to give them control over your emotions. You can choose silence, not as a sign of surrender, but as a statement of complete self-possession. When you refuse to engage in trivial conflicts, you conserve your energy for things that truly matter. Imagine how much time and mental space is wasted on pointless arguments, on responding to criticism that serves no purpose, on trying to change the minds of those who have already decided what they think of you. The Stoic approach is simple. Let them talk. Let them waste their breath. Your silence is not submission, it is strategy. Silence forces the other person to confront their own words. When someone expects a reaction and they do not get it, they are left with only themselves. They must sit with their own negativity, with their own assumptions, with their own pettiness. Meanwhile, you remain unmoved, untouched, and in complete control. The one who speaks out of anger is often the one who loses credibility. The one who remains calm, who chooses silence, demonstrates wisdom and restraint. Epictetus, another great Stoic thinker, advised, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. This means that the moment you react in anger or frustration, you have already lost control. You have allowed another person's words to dictate your state of mind. But if you recognize that their words have no real power unless you grant them importance, then you become untouchable." This approach does not mean suppressing emotions or avoiding important conversations. It means being selective about what deserves your attention. It means understanding that some people argue not to seek truth, but to win. Some criticize not to help you improve, but to bring you down. Some provoke not because they seek understanding, but because they enjoy watching you lose your composure. To respond to these people is to play their game. To remain silent is to rise above it. Consider the wisdom of a river. When a stone is thrown into it, the river does not stop flowing to argue with the stone. It simply moves around it, continuing on its course, unaffected. The same principle applies to life. Obstacles will come in the form of negative words, unfair treatment, and provocation, but you are not obligated to stop and engage with every distraction. You are free to continue forward, unbothered and focused. Some may mistake this approach for passivity, but it is anything but passive. It is a deliberate, active choice to guard your peace. It is the refusal to waste energy on things that do not contribute to your growth. It is the discipline to know when to speak and when to let silence be your answer. In leadership, in personal relationships, in professional settings, those who master this philosophy stand out. They do not allow emotions to cloud their judgment. They do not waste time on insignificant battles. They do not give away their power by reacting to every slight. Instead, they operate with a quiet confidence that demands respect. This is the Stoic advantage. It is the ability to walk through life with an unshakable sense of self, immune to the noise and negativity that consumes so many. It is the realization that your power does not come from controlling others, but from mastering yourself. And in a world where everyone is trying to be heard, where arguments and conflicts are constant, your silence, your ability to choose when and if you engage, becomes your greatest strength. So let them waste their breath. Let them argue, criticize, and provoke. You are not here to be controlled by the opinions of others. You are here to move with wisdom, purpose, and unwavering composure. And that, more than any words you could say, will always speak the loudest. In leadership, in business, and in life, silence is often misunderstood. Many believe that the loudest voice in the room is the one that commands respect, that authority is demonstrated through assertiveness, that influence is gained by speaking at every opportunity. But true leaders, the ones who leave a lasting impact, understand a different truth. Silence, when used wisely, is one of the most powerful tools available. It is a statement in itself, a force that shapes conversations, decisions, and even the perception of authority without the need for constant words. A leader who speaks at every opportunity loses the weight of their voice. If every issue demands their attention, if every criticism provokes a response, if every challenge is met with immediate defense, then their presence becomes ordinary. But when a leader chooses their moments carefully, when they understand that silence creates space for reflection, their words gain more value. People listen more intently to those who do not feel the need to fill every gap with speech. Silence forces people to pay attention. When someone remains quiet in a room full of voices, their presence carries an air of mystery, of confidence, of depth. In contrast, those who talk excessively or react impulsively appear uncertain, as if they need constant validation. A leader who masters silence understands that influence is not about the number of words spoken, but the impact of those words when they are finally said. Consider how great negotiators operate. They do not rush to speak, nor do they react emotionally to pressure. Instead, they pause, they listen, they observe. A well-placed silence can unsettle the other party, making them question their position, reevaluate their offer, or even concede without the need for argument. Silence creates tension, and tension, when wielded correctly, gives the person who controls it the upper hand. In decision-making, silence allows space for deeper thought. Many people speak to fill the void, to avoid the discomfort of quiet contemplation. But the best leaders understand that decisions made in haste, under pressure, or in an attempt to appease others are rarely the best decisions. Silence grants the time to process, to assess a situation from multiple angles, to ensure that a response is not just a reaction, but a strategic move. Silence is also a tool for commanding respect. When a leader does not react impulsively to criticism or provocation, they demonstrate emotional intelligence. They send a message that they are not easily rattled, that their sense of self is not dependent on the opinions of others. This is a mark of strength, and people naturally gravitate toward those who appear unshaken, composed, and confident. Think of the most respected figures in history. They were not the ones who constantly argued, who needed to prove themselves at every turn, or who engaged in every petty dispute. They were the ones who carried themselves with a quiet authority, who knew when to speak and when to let their silence do the talking. Their presence alone was enough to command attention, not because they demanded it, but because they had mastered the art of restraint. In leadership, there is also the power of silence in listening. Many people listen only to respond. They hear words, but they do not truly absorb them. They are waiting for their turn to speak, crafting their argument while the other person is still talking. But true leaders listen to understand. They allow silence to create room for others to express themselves fully. They recognize that by listening more and speaking less, they gain valuable insights that others miss. This applies to conflict as well. When emotions run high, when tensions escalate, the natural instinct is to match energy with energy, to argue, to defend, to retaliate. But when a leader remains calm, when they choose not to react impulsively, they shift the dynamic of the conversation. Silence forces the other party to confront their own words. It makes them question their approach, rethink their position, and often de-escalate without the need for direct confrontation. Some may mistake this approach for passivity, but it is anything but passive. It is an active choice, a strategic decision to maintain control rather than be controlled. It is the recognition that words, once spoken, cannot be taken back, and that a moment of silence can prevent a lifetime of regret. The modern world is filled with noise. Constant communication, instant reactions, endless debates. Social media rewards those who speak first, not necessarily those who speak wisely. But real power, real influence, belongs to those who do not rush to fill the silence, but embrace it. In business, in leadership, in relationships, and in life, the ability to remain silent when necessary is an indication of wisdom, self-discipline, and confidence. It is a signal to others that you are in control, that you are not easily swayed, that your words, when finally spoken, carry weight. So let others waste their breath. Let them react, argue, and fill the space with noise. Your silence will always be more powerful, not because it is empty, but because it is intentional. It is a mark of a leader who understands that influence is not measured by the number of words spoken, but by the ability to command attention without needing to demand it.